Hi, and welcome back to another monthly market update for the Columbus, Ohio real estate market. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and in today's video, we're looking at the July of 2024 numbers as we sit here at the end of August and head into fall. School has started, football starting up this week, actually, if it hasn't started the time you watch this. And with that comes a little bit change in the market. So if you're looking to make a move to buy or sell, hopefully this video will help you use the data to make a great informed decision moving forward, whether it's the right time to buy or sell for you. So let's dive into the numbers. All right, we got the Columbus Board of Realtors numbers put up that they provide for us on their website, the Columbus Realtors. Again, this is a snapshot of the Columbus region. If you're looking for more general area that you live in, they do provide that for you. So go to their website, click on your area, zip code, to give you a better idea of what's going on in your area. For this, we're going to look at the holistically. Yeah, so we can see here we have an uptick in the number of closed sales compared to last year. So closed sales were up 12% year over year, which seems like a lot, but when you look at the numbers, it's not a huge difference. 300 more homes or so. So there compared to 21, which was kind of height of the market, and we sold about 3,600 homes. So just, still below that number, getting closer, still need that number to be higher for the amount of people that need to buy a house. Mainly because there's just not as many houses for sale right now. A lot of people aren't able to make that move. And so we're still seeing, what I would consider a low amount of homes being sold compared to what we've seen in the past. End contracts are up, so that's good, but not significantly compared to last year. So that's not a great sign compared to the number of closed homes this month compared to last month. I don't think we'll see as much of a change month or year over year in that number. So we are still seeing a housing shortage. Again, that's one of the factors of why the market is still competitive, why it still is a seller's market in most areas, is because of the number of homes just aren't keeping up with the amount that's needed. The supply and demand. I always say real estate's not rocket science. It comes down to simply supply and demand. And that's how you can really, the first factor I look at is saying, where is the market going? How much supply is there versus how much demand? And there's two factors you look at: how many homes are for sale and how many buyers are out there. It's harder to tell, obviously, how many buyers are out there. No one's, the way I look is, okay, how many applications are being made, and on the loan side, how many people are actually applying for a mortgage to get a pre-approval to go shopping for a house. Now that doesn't indicate everyone out there, because there's still cash buyers and people that have maybe gotten an approval 3 to 6 months ago, or even years ago, that are now starting to shop again. So there's just factors out there. It helps. We're still seeing the amount of pre-approvals out there heavily outweigh the amount of homes that are available. So we're still seeing those homes sell quickly for the most part. In fact, we're still seeing, homes selling, days on market are obviously coming down, but they're still selling quickly, relatively quickly for a market. Now, this is where it's like, hey, it's up 30% almost, but still, this is still a very quick market when it's only 22 days on the market. This is the average. That means there's still homes selling within the first day, still homes selling within the first weekend. And there's just obviously more homes sitting longer than they have in the past. And that's due to the higher prices. Higher prices have, obviously made it harder for the average person to buy in the areas they want to be in. And so that has slowed down the market some. It doesn't mean homes aren't selling in those markets. It just means that it's slowed down a little bit. And so with that said, the average price continues to go up, so this is where, this time last year, people were considering things like, hey, is it going to slow down? Is it going to go backwards? We're still seeing growth year over year in this number. And it's 4.6, for average. Median is 3.9. Average price per square foot is 4.8. And again, I take those numbers holistically, saying, they're not all perfect indication of, perfect appreciation for a market, but looking at them holistically is a great way of looking at this. Now, this is, July compared to July last year. I want to look at today a little bit more on the year to date. You're going to see why here in a second, but I want to show you year to date. We're seeing from, for the first, seven, from 1 year to 1 year, we're seeing 6%, 6.6%, and 5.6%. So that's actually above the national average of about 5%. Just comparing July to July, we are seeing it lower than that. So what I want to show you, though, is that significantly is that, if we take this, this year compared to last year, I'm gonna look at last year's number, July of 23. So we have July of 23 pulled up, and the numbers are actually very similar in a sense of the July to July comparison. 4.2 increase, 4.8 increase, 4.2 increase. Go back to this month, so 4.6, 3.9, 4.8. So outside the median, they're both in the fours, very similar. But what's different is this is last June. So what's different here is actually the year to date. We see year to date is actually 3.6, 3.4, 3.6. And so we saw this significantly slow down year to date. So from July of 22 to July of 23, we didn't see quite as much growth. And we started seeing some growth, really take place. So after July of 23, because if we jump to August of 23, see these numbers really jump up into the 8 and 7 range, causing that year to date to start slowly creeping up. And let's jump to that's July of 21 to 22. Let's go to December of 23. So the end of the year last year. And we ended up the year at 5.5 or 5.0, 4.1, 5. So right at that national average for, average sale price, a little under from median. So we came up higher, 2% or so from July to December, year over year, year to date, essentially. So calculating that full year's time. Reason I want to share that is because if we go back to this month, we're seeing this at the sixes. And if we see the same thing happen, what could take place is that we can see more growth happen the rest of the year. We can see those numbers continue to go up, in my opinion, for a couple of factors. Let's look at the interest rates during the same time period. So going back to July of 23, we're right here. Interest rates were in the sevens, sevens give or take, and they were on the way up. We actually saw that on the upward trend, getting up close, really to that 8%. And so even with interest rates on the rise, we still saw that year to date number continue to grow when it came to appreciation and price per square foot and all that stuff. And what we're seeing today is we saw another dip. We're seeing today the exact opposite. We're seeing actually interest rates come down as we hit July. And every year, this time of year, if you're in the market right now, you may have realized that every year, this time of year, really in the month of July through August, we see a slowdown in the market. We see things kind of just slow way down, whether it's the amount of homes listed, but also the amount of buyers that are actually making offers. And we see less showings per house. We just see a lot of what I call the summer slowdown, where people just aren't doing stuff because they're out enjoying summer, and because at some point they understand that they think the market is getting out of control and the numbers are getting too high. And we see this based on data, as we see every year. All this appreciation takes place in the spring. We peak out early summer, late spring, really May to June, and then it starts to come down. Buyers know this and understand this for a lot of reasons. Now, I've done videos on why spring is so crazy, why all the appreciation happens in spring, so I don't want to dive into that too much. But we see this every year. We've seen it, and it's getting. I feel like it's getting more and more drastic, where we're seeing that crazy spring and then a summer slowdown, and it's really just a couple weeks, and all of a sudden just switches, and then fall starts to level out. It starts to really be more of a normal, balanced market. And so I wanted to paint this picture for you to show you that we're on the downward trend. We're at the end of August. We don't have August numbers yet, so we're always about a 30-day behind. So you kind of got to kind of fill in the gap yourself as a buyer or seller of what's going on. And if we go back, or if we just look at this chart of what happened last year, you can see that slow and steady decline in those month over month, average price per square foot, and just median price. That's what happens. And so if you're looking to make a decision, what I want to tell you is that we're going to get back to a more balanced market where a really nice home that's been well done, redone really nice, and it's got new kitchens, new baths, great outdoor space, is probably going to sell quick still. But homes that need work and are priced a little aggressive are going to sit on the market until either it comes down in price and someone's willing to do it, or it may just have to sit for a while, and a buyer comes around and says, okay, we can make it work. So, one, if you're looking to sell, you have to be a little more patient or be willing to do some work to get top dollar. before you hit the market. As a buyer, again, same kind of message, be a little bit more patient and know that you can actually negotiate, and know that there's a window here in the fall into winter that if you don't want to, compete with everybody else in the spring, now could be your opportunity. Even though, it's on the downward trend and you may get it for less if it hit next month, still think that, at some point this is going to switch and go back to the spring market. So now maybe your best opportunity to not have to compete and fight for those houses as much as you would in the spring. This, again, not every house is going to sit in the market, and good houses are still going to sell quick. We're still seeing multiple offers out there for a really good house priced really well. So sellers also have to think, you can't price it like June or May. You can't price it above this line. Like your house is going to sell way up here unless your house is just that much better than everybody else's based on condition and location. You got to price it based on where you're at in the market. If you're coming down here and this is September, you're pricing your house, look at kind of where that correlation's at on in the market. And that's how you get your house sold. You can list it higher if you want. You can think this line is going to go up and to the right forever and always, but your house is going to sit in the market if that's the case, and it's going to help other people sell their houses. So hopefully that's helpful. A couple other things I want to show you is just to recap and kind of what's going on. And this is not just something that happens in Columbus, it's a national thing. And in 2024, from in the spring market to I think July, what is it saying? I think this data is based on January to July for the, or June, the first half of the year. Gahanna was again ranked the top zip code in the country. This is the country across the nation zip code. So this is again Gahanna hitting it 2 years in a row, which is pretty significant. It puts Columbus on the map. When people see this, investors see this, they're like, man, that's, Columbus is just a hot market. So, again, just to show that, hey, like Columbus is still, rolling right along when it comes to markets here nationally. And I know there's a national slowdown as a whole when it comes to just home selling, for top dollar and getting the full amount what people are expecting to get. And so this is something that where Columbus really has still edged out the nation, in my opinion, and still rolling right along. So hopefully you find this helpful. If there's any other information that I can share with you, always happy to dive into it with you individually. If you're thinking about buying or selling, would love to have a conversation about how our team can help. Give me a call or text, and we'll get in touch. Have a great day.